please click the subscribe button and the notification icon. It will help us a lot. Hi everybody, this is Rodrigo from Level Up, and today's guest is Christopher Bertilsson. He is the CEO of LinkedKurs, also known as Mr. LinkedIn. He's a good friend of mine who I met through an entrepreneurial mastermind a long time ago, and we went to London to an event called Experts Secrets, if I remember correctly. And pretty much what he has done is and what he has done is that he has created this business that helps other professionals and business leaders use better at this platform called LinkedIn, which, to be honest, I thought at this point will be really famous, but I still found people who do not know about LinkedIn or that it even exists. So it kind of baffles me when I see somebody who doesn't know that LinkedIn exists. But yes, in this digital age, I think this is an amazing platform. I have gotten many clients through LinkedIn. To be honest, I have used many of the tricks and lessons that I have learned from Chris into my own marketing to get clients through LinkedIn. And he has helped thousands of professionals and business leaders pretty much to master this platform and develop their career, get better clients, improve their business, grow their network, and pretty much kill it over that platform. So without any further ado, welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. That was a great introduction.
So can you tell the people who do not know about you, because you are more based in Scandinavia, you are helping people in Norway. If I can remember correctly, you are from Sweden, but
yes,
to Norway, and you are helping people in Scandinavia. I see your lives in Instagram, and sometimes I really curse myself because I think like, man, I really need to learn Norwegian so I can understand what he's saying, because I can see that you're giving valuable advice. I see the reactions of the people, and yeah, I kind of curse myself for not learning how to speak this language already. But can you tell us a little bit more about you and what do you do?
Of course. So I'm from Sweden originally. I moved to Norway. It was 8 years ago, actually. I remember this very, very clearly, like it was yesterday nearly. I was living at my parents' place, actually. I just got fired from my job. I was laying down in my bed. I was depressed. I was like, oh, what should I do now? Do I go study, or what do I actually do? And I had one of my very close friends at the time. He called me up and he said, Chris, you need to come to Norway. Like, it's very similar to Sweden, but you make more money and it's more work opportunities. Basically, this is the thing with, at that time with Norway and Sweden. So Sweden had a little bad like economic time. It's not really bad if you compare it to globally, but in Norway there was more work opportunities. So I moved to Norway at that time. I tried out different jobs, worked restaurants, like as a bartender. I worked at some other places. I worked as a salesman, and then I decided to study. Actually, I studied for 6 months and I got bored. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I actually studied a sales and marketing bachelor, and I decided to go out and travel. And I traveled to Barcelona and I lived there for 6 months. I worked as in the leadership as a sales leader in a sales organization that's sold basically things to Sweden from Barcelona. And I was laying down after 6 months of living there, having a great time at the beach. And I remember I got this like vision. And that was actually when I joined this entrepreneurial group that we met together, Rodrigo as well. And I got this vision like, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to do this. Since I was 14 or 13 years old, I remember I said to my friends, and they laughed at me, like, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to become an internet millionaire, as they say. So basically, that was 2014 in the summer. I decided to move back to Oslo, because here there was economical growth and a lot of opportunities, and I started my own business at that time. Since then, I've started a digital marketing agency that I sold off after 2.5 years. And during that time, when we started that agency, actually, we were going out and selling cold calling. So me and my business partner at the time, I remember we were sitting at his place, and we got this list of businesses, and we were like calling people. We were making hundreds of calls between us. We had only gotten one client. This client weren't even a good client because they weren't able to pay us in time, and it was just a pain in the ass, basically. So at that time, we were like, all right, we need to do something differently. We were running a digital marketing agency, and we were cold calling to get sales, to get customers. We were like, okay, we need to do something differently. And we wanted to reach B2B leaders in B2B businesses. So at that time, we decided to try out LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a B2B marketing or B2B social media platform. And at that time, LinkedIn was like, it was very static. You just put up your personal CV, basically. But we started to get pretty good results. We did some mistakes, of course, and we tried different things. And we started to get results. And we started to implement these processes in other businesses and to clients. We saw other people getting results, and my friends, and in my entrepreneurial groups and masterminds. And since then, I decided to go all in on LinkedIn. And that was 2.5 years ago, around that, or 3 years ago. And since then, we've grown a consulting firm here in Scandinavia. So we basically focus on LinkedIn and also thought leadership, building a personal brand with the help of social media and LinkedIn. I've helped thousands of people in Scandinavia. I've been in South Africa, America, in London, like all over the world, all over Europe as well, teaching this stuff. But we mostly focus on Scandinavia, and I'm based in Oslo right now. So that's a short, like, build up on the things you said as well. My story, basically.
Yeah, I think, let me ask you, do you still find people who do not know about LinkedIn? Because I still do. Like, sometimes I'm talking about business strategy, and when people ask me about social media marketing, I say, like, look, to be honest, most of my clients, I get them from LinkedIn, and I still sometimes, and this is, again, like, people who are into entrepreneurship, business owners, things like that. It's like, what is LinkedIn? And it's like, what the?
Yeah, it's very typical because LinkedIn hasn't really, like, it was actually 2.5 years ago when I started to go all in on LinkedIn. Microsoft bought the platform for a very cheap price of $26 billion. So since then, LinkedIn has changed a lot, actually. They've implemented content, and the platform has become more engaging. And more people are starting to use it, but still people are missing out on a lot of opportunities because they think LinkedIn is this static, like, digital CV platform where you just find a job, basically, or get connected with recruiters. So it's very typical. I meet a lot of people who are they don't use LinkedIn properly. A lot of the people I meet has a LinkedIn profile, and more are using it. But in Scandinavia in general, a lot of people are quick on new technologies and stuff like that. But it still happens, and it baffles me. I'm surprised. Like, there's so many opportunities on LinkedIn. There's so many things you can get out of it, actually, when you use it strategically. Not just, like you mentioned before, Rodrigo, not just getting business and getting clients. You can build your network. And when we work professionally, our network is one of the most powerful things we can build. So our network is our net worth, basically, to quote that very known quote. And this is what we can use LinkedIn for. And this is the thing that people misunderstand a little bit with LinkedIn. It's a different type of platform because it's based on building our network. And when we build our network, it's based on giving value, building long-term relationships, and also creating win-win situations where both parties can win. And this is where a lot of people misunderstand the platform.
Yeah, I also think that most people, make the mistake of seeing these platforms as they have to be funny to use. They have, and compared to Facebook, compared to Instagram, LinkedIn doesn't feel fun to use. But I remember the first time when I truly realized the potential of this platform was like, let's see, yeah, I think about 3 years ago as well, because I connected with, when I was starting my other podcast, One for Artists, I was able to connect with a guy who was an Academy Award winner through that platform, and I was like, holy shit, like, like I just got one. And again, right now I have, like, the podcast that I have is really big at the moment. It has more than 80 episodes with very big people, but at the time I was just starting, I didn't even have 10 episodes, and I just got like one of the biggest people in the industry to accept my interview through LinkedIn, and it blew my mind, and I started to dig a little bit deeper into that, and I realized that people who are not making obviously there are exceptions, but usually people who are not making uh, doing great in business, they are the ones who are not using the platforms, but the ones who are doing really, really, really well in business, they are very active in there. And even if there, in LinkedIn there is this platform called the Sales Navigator, where you can do high-end searches, more details and things like that, and it allows you to see the people who have been active in the last 30 days. And if you compare, for example, if I were to look business owners who are into tech, SaaS companies, things like that, I usually get this huge result of 30,000 people, but then you see the people who have been active there for the last 30 days, and it's only, let's say, maybe 3,000 people. So about, let's say, 1% of this thing, or yeah, I think that not 10% will be 10% of the people who are active, and then you see who is active. They are the people who are getting millions of dollars in funding. They are the people who are killing it and having a lot of clients. And yeah, I think it is really important in order to, if you really want to connect with big people, and let's say, especially if you don't live in a nice city, in a really good city like I did, uh, then it's a really great tool to connect with really amazing people there.
Yeah, and it's also about knowing how to connect with people. And this is when I hold courses, or when I coach digitally, or when I work with the business leader and business professionals. Like, they get surprised when they use the methods to connect with people, and they can actually connect with high-level business leader the same day and get appointments, get people to be in podcasts or meet up and talk with them and build network with them. And this is the power of LinkedIn. And as you say, like, there's not many people that are very, very active right now, and it's going to change. It's already changed the last year. Like, the activity has spiked through the roof, especially here in Scandinavia. But globally, it's also spiking. And this, like, when it comes to social media and also building an audience, so in my opinion, and based on the experience that I have, like, building a personal brand and building an audience digitally right now is one of the most valuable things we can do, because an audience that we have given value to already to help us to do other things, if we're selling products or services, or if we just want to get them on a podcast, for example, do projects together. And this is the thing with LinkedIn, like, there is still little activity compared to other social media platforms. There's not a lot of people who has built strong personal brands. And this is the opportunity to build a strong personal brand, use the right methods to connect with the right people, build a valuable network. Now you can use that to leverage your business afterwards as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think that is really important, especially to build like the personal brand. I think that this is really hard to do for many people. Like, for example, I really like my privacy on one end. Like, I'm using a browser that locks all the trackers and all these kind of things. I use a VPN to connect to the internet. I even have this camera that I'm using right now is separate from the computer, and it cannot work unless I plug it into the USB, and the camera that comes into the computer is completely disconnected and blacked out. So on one end, like I'm really big about my privacy. I don't have Alexa. I barely use my phone the way most people use it. But on one end, like I really understand that this thing is moving towards creating a bigger connection, like a bigger presence. You as a business person and you as a personal brand is also one of the fastest way as well to really get clients, because you can put yourself forward instead of going to a website that has no personal info. And I even see it because when I get clients, there are many clients that I get through my website that they just want to have a phone call to make sure that it's not a scam, even though there is a lot of information there to show, like we have projects, worked with projects with Shell, Coca-Cola, things like that. And it's all there, but they still have this tiny bit of distrust until they finally talk to someone. And it's like, okay, yeah, like I can see how it will be easier to get like really big clients if I put more of myself forward than just the business case.
This is the thing, and this is most of the work that I do right now. It's actually building personal brands and building thought leadership, as we call it, on LinkedIn and on other social media platforms. But we always started on LinkedIn because there you can connect with the most valuable, like most of the millionaires in the world are using LinkedIn. People who has money, who has influence, and who has basically higher education, and they use LinkedIn. And to build that personal brand in front of these people, it's very valuable. And it's also one of the things that we work with usually, as you mentioned, is like, what is your voice actually? Who do you want to be as a personal brand? And this is important as well, because I've seen cases before when people put everything they have on social media, like their whole life. You can lose yourself in that personal brand as well. So I recommend to always leave a part to yourself and build a brand and be strategic with it. So it doesn't consume your life, but it's actually a leverage in your life and a leverage in your business life as well.
Yeah, and again, like for example, my part of being a little bit more of a freak about privacy is because I had the, let's say, the wrong end of the stick about it. Again, I'm from El Salvador. I have seen many of my friends who, and this is a misconception as well that I get here because I'm getting all these big projects and I'm dressing normally, let's say I'm not dressing really flashy and things like that, and people over here think that maybe I'm lying because I'm not like pimping it out. And the thing is that the reason why I'm not pimping it out, especially when I'm here, is because I have seen friends who they are not even like influencers or anything like that. They just got like, say, a decent salary, and they start getting the nice car, the nice phone, start dressing well, and then they get the attention. And in my country, calling attention to yourself can be very dangerous. And I remember a friend of mine who bought this amazing car. If I remember correctly, it was an RX-8, a Mazda, or I think it was. And we told him like, dude, and he was from another country as well. He was from Venezuela. He came to live here. It's like, dude, you're crazy if you're buying this car. You're going to get some attention that you don't want. And he bought it anyway. And in 3 months, when he was in a stoplight, some guys came to him, put a gun to his head, pretty much robbed his car. Luckily, they didn't do anything to him, but I've seen a lot of that of those cases. And on very smaller levels as well, just because they were having a nice phone and they got robbed because they were walking in the street with a phone. And watching those experiences happen, and even even though I didn't make a mistake, my sister did, and we had an issue with a kidnappers gang, and it was a couple of months that were really tense. And after that, I went even really harder on privacy and making sure that my information didn't leak out. But I also have tried this kind of thing of being the blogger, the one who is pretty much posting their lives, and I really didn't enjoy it at all. So I've been thinking lately, okay, how can I build like this personal brand, this professional brand, and without putting that much as well of my personal information out there, because I don't want to be targeted by gangs or anything like that. And that's why I built the studio. I built something that I can use every day, and pretty much not having any issue showing where I live or showing where I am going to, things like that.
Yeah, that's an important part of strategically building a personal brand. Actually, it's and this is one of the things that I'm inspired to help out with this, because when I see and hear and also feel people using a personal brand that's leveraged, it doesn't take over the life, but it still creates business opportunities. And this is the thing with LinkedIn. It's mostly a professional platform, so we can build a professional personal brand, and we can get it out to other social media channels as well. We don't need to blog about what we're eating or what we're doing all the time. We can use it with not minimal time investment. It takes some time to work it up, but after a couple of months, you can spend only a couple of hours a week or 1 hour a week, and you can keep this personal brand growing and also get opportunities with it. There's basically 3 parts of building a personal brand on LinkedIn. The first part is your network. So your network is the most important part you have on LinkedIn. Connect with the right people, get them into your network. It doesn't need to be thousands or tens of thousands. Like on Instagram, you have people who has hundreds of thousands, millions of followers. You just need 100 people who are exactly the people you want to work with in your network, and it's going to be valuable enough. Or even 10 people. If you get 10 investors, for example, that are interested in investing in your business, that's very valuable. And then the second part is content. This is where your voice comes into play. This is where we actually map out what kind of content are you going to put out there. What are you good at professionally? What is your personality as well? We call it creating your vacuum, because you create something based on your personality and what you're good at professionally. And nobody can compete with that, because nobody is the same person as you, basically. You are unique. And if you map it out and strategically build it with your professional expertise, becomes very, very unique. And it's something that basically pushes through all the content out there, all the bombardment we get of information and content today. So that's the second part. It's content. So first you have network, then you have content. And the last part, and this is the most important part that people actually forget about, and it's converting that audience and that network into real business. And I've seen this as well, and I've heard about it, or I've heard it from people that has used my advice as well, who hasn't worked personally with me, but has used my advice. And they build a network, they put out, they spend 15, 20 hours a week just sitting on LinkedIn and doing all these things, but they're never converting it to actual business. And this is something, it's an abstract thing, but your network on LinkedIn, when you start putting out valuable content and getting your expertise out there, and also your voice and your unique personality, it's like a bank account. So you fill up the bank account, and it goes to a point when people are ready to work with you. Then it's important to give them the right offer and the right opportunity at that time. That is the third part, that's conversion. Basically converting that value and a bank account with your network and your content that you've built up. And then it's becomes very valuable, because then you get money for it and you grow your business and you get new opportunities and all this stuff. These three things are working together. And that's what we do when we build our personal brand on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think what you say is really, really important to be said again, that I think that in this day and age, many people are trying to become the influencers by having hundreds of thousands of followers. And this is something that I realized when I was starting my first podcast, that I had, let's say, 12 episodes, and I had like 60 people who were following me at the moment. It wasn't that much, but if you saw this list, it was like, oh, this director in Pixar, all this director in Disney, all this director in this character designer who has worked for Warner Brothers. All these guys who were like really top of the industry were putting attention to my podcast, because, and still happens that when I interview them, they tell me first that, as you say, like this part of being able to design what you want to put out there, they tell me that they have felt my podcast to be very different from all the other ones that they have been done, because I really focus about the professional part. In most of the podcasts in the animation industry, they're focusing all about the experience of being an artist and living through your art and all this kind of stuff. And I'm trying to focus very strategically on the professional part, on the strategies that they have used in order to get the jobs or the opportunities that they had. And again, well, you understand the thinking in the entrepreneurial world, and that is something that I realized fast as well in the animation, because I saw all these things that were really common in the entrepreneurial world, like doing a podcast. Who is not doing a podcast in the entrepreneurial world, right? But when I started in the animation industry, there were only like 3 other podcasts who were really good and focusing on deep end. And I went in and became the 4th podcast, and I saw all the other ones. It's like, okay, I cannot compete with them on being an artist, because they are way better artists than I will ever be. But I can definitely compete with them on the professional part that nobody's talking about. And even now today, again, like after 80 episodes, people are still telling me like, oh yeah, now there are coming people that I reached to interview, telling me that they are a fan of my podcast, that I like listening to it. And they always tell me like, man, like these questions were really hard, but they really squeezed all the experience that I had to say about this topic. And I never had an interview like this. I never had experienced a podcast like this. And again, like I'm not that famous compared to other people doing podcasts, but the people who are listening to me, they are very important.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you put yourself out there in a strategic way, you actually, and also as you mentioned, this is the thing basically on LinkedIn with personal branding. So there's not a lot of influencers taking up space. There's some popping up now, but there's still maybe only a couple, and you can take that place in specific industries. And you get the same effect as you had with your podcast. So important people are actually going to listen into your content, see your videos, get a feeling for who you actually are professionally, and be interested in working with you.
Definitely. And this is a tricky question, but probably you will understand it better than anybody. When we started, we had all these ideas of the things that were going to be hard in our business, and all the difficulties that we were going to face and all these things. And at least my experience, and I think that in your experience as well has happened the same, that the things that we thought were going to be the biggest problems, they never happen at all. Or when they happen, it wasn't that big of a deal. But then the things that were really, really hard were problems that we never even thought about, that we never even expected. So on the spirit of finding out the things that we don't know, what is something that you didn't expect it at all, that you didn't think at all, that came up through your business experience that is very important, that is true and is very important?
That's a good question. So there's always challenges. So this is the thing with doing business and taking on responsibility, but it's worth it in the end. And it takes time. It takes more time than you think usually, but it's worth it. So I'd rather in 40 or 50 years, or maybe in 100 years where the technology goes now, or 200 years, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to look back on the choices that I made and be happy about it because I did what I actually wanted to do. And the unexpected challenges I've had in business, so there's a lot of unexpected challenges. It's about dealing with other people, managing other people, for example, things that happen when you teach other people stuff. There's many, many challenges. But one of the biggest that was most unexpected probably is just the organizational part of it and management part of business and how important that is. Because I went into business just thinking, oh, it's just about making sales and going out and getting clients. But it's about so much more. So it's about sales, marketing, of course. You have your product, services, and delivery, your management, and operations. This is what I'm working a lot on right now, optimizing the operations. And there you have a lot of unexpected challenges. So when you're growing to a certain level, and when you want to grow to a higher level, there's different things on each level. And you can't really, you can get mentors, of course, and you can get people to tell you about it, but it's not until you experience it by yourself. That's actually when it clicks into your mind. You're like, oh, this is what I need to do right now to grow my business to the next level. This is what I need to do to grow my marketing. One of the biggest things, I think, is just by being building a strong personal brand, how many people actually recognizes you and are grateful for it. Unexpectedly, I get people writing to me and like, oh, you helped me with this, thank you very much. And it's not really a challenge, but it's just knowing how many people you're actually touching with what you're doing. Because in the beginning, I was just putting things out there and trying different things. And everything that I put out touches at least one person. And the rest is bonus after that. So that's not really a challenge, more an inspiration. But the biggest challenges are, of course, management and operations for me because I'm weak at those parts. I'm more a creative. I like to be creative. I like to do marketing. I like to do sales as well. So that's something I had to learn. I had to change my personality a little bit even to become strong at being able to efficiently sequence things, work in details, to have that experience. And later also I'm going to delegate it, of course, and outsource it as well.
I think that is you say that because most entrepreneurs that I know, including myself, are really weak when it comes to the organizing part of things. Yeah, I think we are all like this. I don't know, this force that just wants to do things and have all these ideas and wants to test these ideas as soon as possible, as efficient as possible, and get results as soon as possible. But when it comes to being organized about that, I think that is definitely one of my weak points as well, something that I have been trying to become better at in the last couple of years. But yeah, I think that is really important part to touch. And what is the most common mistake when you see people trying to create their own personal brand and trying to become this figure. Let's say, what is the most common mistake that you see people making when they are starting out that they are not aware that they are making?
So it's just the same mistakes that I did in the beginning, is just throwing things out there without a clear strategy, a clear overarching strategy. Why or am I doing this? What's the long-term impact of this as well? To know that, and to also have empathy for your audience and the people you're trying to reach as well. So just like you can randomly get to a good personal brand, but I think if you sit down, at least for a day or 1 hour even, just sit down and write down, okay, what is my goal with this? Why am I doing this? Who am I trying to reach? Who are the people that I'm going to attract in my audience as well? Just knowing that and being a little bit clearer of it, of course you can go deeper and work. We have a whole process when we work on this. But just doing that, I think, helps a lot. And also doing the common mistakes on LinkedIn, selling too quickly, not having a network-oriented mindset, not having a great profile in place, having a bad profile picture, for example. So it doesn't really show the brand in a great way.
Yeah, I think that is what I still get this reaction when I give my profile to somebody else, and they get really surprised and amazed of how I set up my profile, and they try to copy, let's say, the same formula for them as soon as possible. It's like, look, I didn't set up this profile in one day. It literally has taken me months of being improving tiny stuff, and yeah, again, like for those who haven't used LinkedIn is very different than Facebook and Instagram. Like it has a lot that you can put into your profile, a lot. It takes a lot of time to really fill it out. So, and you can even translate your profile to other languages if you want. So that makes so that alone, filling the profile and doing it well, that takes a lot of time. And then now if you want to use multiple languages, now you're putting all this effort over and over and over again, depending on how many languages that you want to use. So yeah, I think that definitely the profile part of things is something that is worth mastering.
Yeah, it's true. It's important. We have templates on this and processes on what you need to get in place, but still it needs to be connected to your audience, your personal brand, and your product and service, of course, as well, in a strategic way.
Definitely. And I'm sure you have gotten a couple of these, so I'm going to ask you about this. When you meet, let's say, a smart, driven student who is about to enter the real world, what advice do you give that person, and what advice should that person ignore?
So to get out into the professional world, the network is the most important thing we have. And this took me a couple of years to realize. I built it randomly first, but now I do it more strategically. So build your network on LinkedIn, get a good profile there as well. Connect with the people and the industries you're interested in and you want to work with. And also, even if we say that you need to be strategic and stuff, it's more later on when you actually build a business. But as a newcomer, just go out there and start connecting with people. Connect with industry leaders, and you're going to be surprised. They're going to answer you and they're going to be grateful for you connecting as well. And some things they can ignore is to basically, so there is this thing that people say on LinkedIn, just go out and give value, We've discussed this a little bit today as well. But you don't really need the best value you have is your own network on LinkedIn. And that's valuable enough. So you don't need to go out and write a lot of articles, and produce a lot of content. You can bring your network, even if it's just students in your university or people that you have in your local network as well. That's valuable for other people, and people want to connect with other networks. So that's valuable enough just to start out and to go out there and not be scared of failing as well.
Yeah, the part of not being scared of failure, man, when I was young, that really frees me up. And now that, like, at this point, I realized how ridiculous it was. But when I was there, it felt so real.
Yeah.
But yeah, if for anybody who is young listening to this, it's fake. Do not trust that instinct is lying to you.
You're always scared. Like, you're always going to be scared when you do uncomfortable things. And it happens to me also. Nearly daily, I'm scared of things that I do, but you just push through it. And on the other side of fear and of fear of failure, there you're going to find success. You need to push yourself out of your comfort zone to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. I think I do still feel it, but it's kind of when you have felt that sensation like hundreds of times already, and every time it has been wrong, it's kind of hard to listen to it. Like, at least
it's a small voice in the back of your head, and you're like, I'm going to ignore you again and just go for it.
Yeah, but I don't listen to it anymore. Sometimes it can be very strong and feels like it's screaming behind my ear, and I still ignore it because I know it's just fake.
Yeah.
And this is another tricky question, but have you ever had a failure or something that looked like a failure that actually has set you up for success in the future? Following up with the failure topic.
Yeah, I have a big one last year. And there was this other influencer here in Scandinavia that did a whole parody on the things that we're doing with our marketing. And it got a lot of engagement, and some major newspapers took it up, and it became this huge thing. And this haunted me for a couple of months. But that thing that he did has given me more opportunities and more clients than it has basically brought me down. So it was a good thing. But during the period when that was going on, it was very, very harsh. But that has set me up for even more success.
Yeah, so this is a question that I like to do because, again, like when you fear failure, when you haven't learned to ignore that fear, and it feels very real, I think this question helps out to solve this dilemma that even if it becomes real, even if you face what it seems to be a failure in the moment, that can lead you up for bigger success in the future.
Yeah. And that's usually the greatest success you're going to have. When you fail the most, you're going to learn the most afterwards. So the biggest setbacks I've had is the biggest things I'm grateful for right now. Even just quitting my job back in 2014, I quit my job when I was studying. No, it was 2015 actually. I quit my job when I started my business. And it was scary as hell, but I burnt all my bridges, so I didn't have a choice than to create the success and the results. And this is also one big thing I noticed to people that are just beginning and starting out. Don't be comfortable. So there is a principle. So basically it's called setting yourself up for success. And I have one of my friends who told me this, so it really clicked in my mind when I heard this and saw what he was saying. So he said when he's putting up big goals and new things he wants to do, he puts it out on social media. and now he doesn't have a choice than to do it. And it's the same thing when you want to do things. Set yourself up for success. Try to burn the bridges so you don't have a choice then to do it. Of course, you should be careful, not burn too many bridges, but in the beginning, it can be good to set you in a situation where you just need to do the things that are going to create results.
Definitely. And yeah, what you say is really important, I think, because I had this lesson from Evan Pagan, and he called it inevitability thinking, which is how you can set up things so that the things you want to happen, they have to happen. Like it's going to happen. So, for example, I've been doing now exercise for the last 3 months. Already seeing results, and but one of the things that I know about myself is that when I wake up, like I'm a zombie. Like this is my brain is not working well. Every excuse for not doing exercise in the morning will be a good excuse for not doing it. So knowing that, I was thinking, okay, so how can I make it so that this will happen anyways? So one of the tricks that I learned to do was put the alarm very far away from me, and right next to my bed I put the chair with the working out clothes and shoes and all that in the chair right stick next to the bed, so that when the alarm sounds and I have to pretty much wake up to go out and turn it off, I cannot even go down from the bed without seeing everything laid right in front of me. That way I don't even have to use a tiny speck of willpower, because willpower is not necessary, it's already there. So, and that is just one example, but I have used this kind of thinking in many areas of business as well. And yeah, it helps.
It does. It's powerful. It's setting yourself up for success, man. Make it as easy as possible. Create morning routines, for example. Have routines on your weekly basis. They actually sit down and do work like how we work. It's a nomadic lifestyle. Like I work from my home mostly. I also have an office here in Oslo, and I travel a lot as well between Sweden and Oslo and internationally. But every day, like every week, I book in time to do work on different things, and always have that success principles in place. So I create the results. I know what I need to do every week, so I do it. And sometimes I need to put on more, or I need to leverage it more, or I need to do less of something, so you optimize it. And it's also incremental. So success comes from incrementally optimizing things. So it's not this huge leap. It's just going out, testing, and then learning from what you've tested and optimize, and then it's going to grow.
Definitely. And talking about these kind of things, before I forget, I just wanted to make a note that it's really important that I found out pretty recently, about a couple of months ago, that if you really want your brain to be working optimally, like the one thing that you can focus on is like one, sleep really well. Like sleeping, I just discovered that is even more important than diet, even more important than exercise. Is the one thing that you can do well to improve a lot of things in your life, especially on your mental health and your mental energy and the capacity that you have to work. And as you said, the reason why it's called a ritual is because it becomes sacred to you and you do it this way. And I realized that it's become so much important to go to sleep at the same hour, wake up at the same hour, and try to set in the morning, try to set up something that happens every day. And even it is really good to have a breakfast with a lot of protein in the morning. And if you can do that, especially for the people, if you are dealing with depression, one of the things that happen commonly with the people who have depression is that they don't have or they have low energy. Let's say is that they don't have a fixed ritual, let's say. They don't have a fixed schedule, so they sleep at random times, they wake up at random times, they don't have something set up. And I can tell you right now, it's really important, really, really important to sleep at the same hour, wake up at the same hour, eat with a lot of protein, and have this structure. You need to have that structure, and if you have that structure, a lot of things are going to come way easier for you.
Yeah,
that is something
it's very, very important.
Definitely. And on that topic, what is, in the last 5 years, what is an habit, a belief, or a behavior that has improved your life or your career the most?
So I think just health, focusing on health, like we discussed, training, getting the proper sleep, and also resting, like putting aside weekends, not working all the time. Because when I started out, like this huge hustle culture, like work 24/7 a day, and like you don't need to do that. You need basically work focused hours and take your time, rest, relax from work as well. And one of the most valuable things I've learned is also public speaking. Being able to speak in front of a lot of people, engage them, it's a very powerful skill to have. And it has helped me tremendously in business. So that's how I've grown the LinkedIn and thought leadership business. It's through public speaking. So that's the thing. And one of the beliefs is, of course, you don't need to work 24/7. So we're not into this. We're into business to actually create a lifestyle. At least for me, that's how I built my business. So I want to have a lifestyle as well. So be able to take time off, and also knowing that you're good enough, and just be happy with yourself, not putting yourself down all the time. That's also very important.
Yes, definitely. I think what you say is really important, because I have definitely made the mistake of working 24/7 and getting into this kind of weird state mentally. It's very intoxicating, it's very addictive, let's say it, but it's not,
Yeah.
I don't think it's sustainable for most people. I know some weird guys that are able to pull this through and pretty much pull this together of working 24/7 and all that, but it's not really that sustainable. And I think it's more important to actually, let's say, work effectively, because right now, and when I realized that, especially, well, we have a friend in common, his name is Bobe, he helps people to automate their businesses, and I went to Krakow and met him, and he really pretty much taught me how to automate stuff, how to set up systems, and at the moment that was a whole different point of view that I never really understood, and I thought I still think that I will have discovered it eventually, but I'm really glad that I took that mentorship with him, because I saved a lot of time, and through system thinking I was able to become even more efficient than way before, when I was working all this grind of 24/7 work all the time. And now that I pretty much started implementing systems through all my life and through all the parts of my business, like, there are moments where if I work really hard for 3 hours, there is nothing left to do in a day. And I know many people who are working way more than I do, and I know that if I, let's say, if I put 3 hours of my time into getting new clients, in those 3 hours I can get about 1,500 verified leads, I can put them in the system that it's going to contact them and send them emails like and follow up with them automatically, and all that can be done in those 3 hours, and those 3 hours are going to pay me way more than most of the people that I know. And it's become crazy because now I have gotten to this point where in 3 or 4 hours I can do way more than some people do even in a week. and
That's the thing.
And yeah, and after 3 hours, it's like, okay, work's done. Like, I literally cannot do anything else because, let's say, if I want to keep contacting people in LinkedIn, LinkedIn blocks me and says, hey, you have contacted all the people that you can do in a day. You have seen 1,500 profiles, so now your account is blocked for 24 hours. It's like, okay, I cannot do anything more, so I can just rest in the day, read a book, watch a movie, something like that. And I know that those 3 hours, those 4 hours were really, really productive.
Yeah, it's about leverage and using social media, personal brand, building a personal brand, and doing all these things to actually be able to live a better life, not let it take over your life, and using it strategically to create leverage.
Definitely. And probably you don't, or maybe you do, but whenever you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do you do to get back to your center?
I usually go to the gym. That's a good thing. But I just shut everything down. So I have like a ritual every evening after 9 or 10 o'clock, sometimes later. I just put my phone into airplane mode. So I shut everything off and I just take time for myself and relax and recharge. When I'm really, really overwhelmed, if I don't need to, actually, usually you don't need to sit and work. You can shut everything down, sit down, meditate, go out for a walk, just turn off the analytical part of your brain and activate your creative part of your brain and relaxing and recharging.
Yeah, I have gotten a new dog recently, and I have to be honest, it's definitely great that because of him I have to go and take a walk in the night. Because this dog, even though he doesn't do any of his needs outside, he is a very energetic dog, and if I don't go and take a walk with him, he's going to be kind of stressful and not letting me sleep. So I have to walk him out every night. But yeah, this is something that I've been realizing, like, wow, like there is a lot of difference when you take a walk.
Yeah, it makes a pretty big difference.
Definitely. And again, LinkedIn, I think this is one of the opportunities that still many people do not know. But what are opportunities that you see or tools that are really great at helping you out, save time, reduce effort and all that, that exists right now that didn't exist when you started? Because for me, there is a lot of things that if I had when I started back in 2012, the things will be very different right now for me.
Yeah, so there's multiple tools. There's always new technologies coming. It's about learning them very quickly and being able to leverage them. But I think just personal branding is one of the tools. And it's not based on a technology. Communication is also something I wish that I learned more deeply earlier. Learning more about personality types, how to communicate to different people so they listen to you and they see what you're actually saying. That's one of the greatest tools that I've discovered. And also mindset tools, being able to work on yourself, your own inner self, and respecting that as well. It creates a huge difference. When you feel good, you do good. So that's some of the best major tools, and these have I've discovered them the last 1.5 years actually. Really going deep, working more on myself, my past, for example, releasing negative charges, working more on my personal brand, how I communicate to other people, and it's made a tremendous difference in business.
Yeah, I think I always have, like, let's say, an issue with anger. For a long time, I didn't know how to, let's say, go through it productively. But man, when I discovered boxing, I saw that, and this is pretty much, I think, something that most people do not understand, especially people who have never tried any fighting sport, because I'm not, like, I don't do boxing in order to participate in tournaments or things like that. I'm definitely not looking to become the champion of any any country or anything like that. But just to go to the punching bag and
Yeah.
hit that thing for 30 minutes, man, after that, it's like complete relaxation in levels that I cannot even begin to describe.
It's perfect.
Definitely.
It's very, very good. It's powerful.
Yes. And this is a very hard question, but this is why I like it as well. Let's say you wake up tomorrow in a different dimension, and pretty much everything is very similar, but nobody knows about you, but you have all your skills or your experience. You have 500 euro in your pocket. What do you do to get back to this point, professionally speaking, as soon as possible?
I would go to, the first thing I would do is go to, so is this dimension similar to, is there a similar civilization?
Yeah,
And is
yeah,
there,
pretty much.
the
Very
first thing I
similar
would do
thing, but
is,
nobody knows you.
the first thing I would do is, that's a very good question. The first thing I would do is go to a BNI chapter in the closest city. They're all over the world. So I have actually the Gold Members Club in BNI. So it's a global networking organization. I would go there and I would speak and I would pitch my things and I would start connecting with people through that. I would set up a free talk in that city, invite people through BNI, and I would spend 2,000 or 2,000 crowns, $200 on advertising to get people into it. I would connect with people on LinkedIn. I would invite them to the free talk. I would give them a solution in the ending of the talk, LinkedIn consultation, helping them with their personal brand. And I would get 2 to 3 clients maybe, and I would build my business up of that.
Nice. And something that I forgot to mention over here, that I think that you took a very smart decision when you moved to Norway, because I learned about a year ago that Norway is actually, like, if you want to become a millionaire, really, really serious about to become a millionaire, Norway is the best place to do so.
It is. It's a very relaxed marketplace. The economy is good right now, at least. It's a very good place to build a business.
Yeah, because
but you never know. You never know if it's always going to be like that.
Obviously.
But right now it's very good, so I recommend it. But it's a very, one of the leverage points here is to know the local language. So I speak Swedish, or I speak a mixture between Swedish and Norwegian. It's very good to start off the business. But people speak English here as well, and everybody knows English. So you can. I have friends who are English here and are doing very, very good in business as well, and they built it from scratch. Of course, they got some help with thought leadership, personal branding, LinkedIn, and marketing and speaking and stuff, but they built it from scratch as well, and they're doing good here.
Definitely. Yeah, I saw this TED talk about it, and pretty much what the obviously what people think is the United States because they have like a lot of millionaires and a lot of famous figures. But when you put, let's say, millionaires per capita, how many millionaires they have per every, let's say, 100 people or something like that, then Norway is the one that has the most. So
Probably. It's a small country and there's a lot of economical growth here as well. It's because of the oil. It's
yeah,
very comfortable, but the oil is not going to last forever. There's different things coming. Technology is taking over, so you never know in a 5 to 10 or 10 to 20 year perspective. But it's good right now.
yeah, definitely. I remember seeing, well, I was in Sweden and I saw a lot of developing into solar energy and things like that, into renewable energy. And it was kind of nice to see, to be honest, because I saw that there were many buildings, many apartments, things like that had solar panels. And
Mm.
I never saw anything like that on that level, let's say, in any other country. So it's nice to see that how things are evolving into Scandinavia.
Yeah, it's very good. We still have a long way to go.
Definitely. And is there anything else that we haven't talked about in this interview yet that you would like, that you think is important?
It's been a great interview, Rodrigo. A lot of good questions. I hope people and you who listens right now or sees the videos got value from it. If you want to know more, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or I use Instagram as well, more internationally actually, because my LinkedIn is mostly focused on the Scandinavian marketplace. So you can either, if you can get the link somewhere here to my Instagram or to my LinkedIn. On Instagram, I'm going to do more English speaking. I do some business advice, lifestyle stuff there as well. Connect with me. If you have any more questions, just send me a message. I'll try answering it as quickly as I can. I get pretty bombarded on all social channels. That's one of the things with having a personal brand. But I also have lovely colleagues who helps out with the business that I'm very grateful for, that helps me to basically answer all the messages and getting things out there. But if you want to know more about LinkedIn, thought leadership, building a personal brand, speaking, or just business advice, add me there, send me a message, and I'll try to get back to you as quick as possible.
Awesome. Yes, and into this post, you are going to find the link to your Instagram and also your LinkedIn profile. So
you can see how you actually should do it on LinkedIn there.
Yes, definitely. That is true. So thanks a lot, Chris, for giving us your time. I know that you're very busy, that there is a lot for you to do. I really appreciate that you took your time to help me out into building this new podcast.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo. And I love to follow your podcast, what you're doing. You're doing great work, man. And it's I'm very grateful to be a part of it as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Chris. So if you like this episode, please click the like button below in the video, or if you're listening in the podcast, please subscribe to this channel, because we are setting up more interviews with many amazing business owners. So I really thank you for being part of this podcast and listening to this point. Until next time. See you.
Bye.